My name's Ryan Walker. I'm 37, a construction foreman, and my life's always worked better when the rules stay simple. Show up, work hard, keep your word. Don't raise your voice unless something's about to fall on somebody's head. For 8 years, my marriage to Emily ran on the same kind of simplicity. Middle-class habits. Bulk chicken breasts in the freezer, buying toilet paper like the world might end, thermostat wars every winter. We'd start a show on Netflix, swear we'd stay up and be passed out by episode 2, her feet pressed against my leg, my arm under her head until it went numb. Nothing glamorous, just ours. That night at the kitchen table, the one I can't forget, the pasta was overcooked and the table had that one wobbly leg I kept meaning to fix. The overhead light hummed. She was half scrolling into her phone, half pushing penne around her plate. I wasn't angry. That's the part people never get when I tell this. I wasn't pacing, I wasn't shouting. I was tired from a 10-hour day and just wanted to say one thing clearly. I said, twirling my fork, eyes on my plate first so it didn't sound like a threat. I'm going to be straight with you. If your boss, Michael, shows up at your birthday thing, I'm done. She looked up like she hadn't heard me right. Then her mouth twisted into this little smirk I'd never seen pointed at me before. Ryan, she laughed, sharp and short. You're being dramatic. Relax. She actually shook her head, like I just told a stupid joke at a party. I sat there, fork in my hand, and felt something in my chest go tight. Not burning, not rage. Just tight, like a belt cinched one notch too far. I'm not being dramatic, I said, still calm. I'm telling you my line. If he's there, I'm done. I won't argue about it later. She rolled her eyes and took a sip of water. Babe, he's my boss. It's not that deep. You sound jealous. Jealous. Dramatic. Relax. 3 words, tossed like crumbs across that worn table, and suddenly I could see the scene from above. Me, a grown man with concrete dust still in the grooves of his hands, explaining a boundary to his own wife, and her treating it like a punchline. I finished my plate in silence. She went back to her phone, thumbs moving fast, little smile playing on her lips at whatever she was reading. That was the moment it hit me. Not that something was wrong with us. I'd felt that for months. What hit me was this. My discomfort in my own house at my own table had turned into a joke she didn't even bother to hide. We weren't a team anymore. We were a woman entertained by her husband's line in the sand, and a man realizing for the first time he might actually have to enforce it. That dinner didn't come out of nowhere. You don't wake up one night and decide your wife's boss is a problem. It's a slow drip. You just finally admit the floor's getting wet. Started small. I'd come home from job sites with my back screaming, hands cracked, dust in my hair. Normal for me. I'd open the front door expecting the usual. Her in leggings, hair up, some show on low in the background. Instead, she started coming home later than me. At first, it was an hour. We're behind on a project. Then it was 2. Team dinner. Don't wait up. She'd walk in with her cheeks flushed, like winter air had followed her inside. Except it was May, and she smelled different. Not like our laundry detergent or the vanilla lotion she used to steal from my side of the sink. This was sharper, expensive. It clung to the hallway after she walked past. New perfume, I asked once, leaning in for a kiss. She turned her face just enough that my lips hit her cheek instead. Just trying something out, she said, checking her reflection in the microwave door instead of looking at me. Long days. Gotta look alive. That's when Michael's name started floating into conversations more than mine. Michael really knows how to manage people. Michael stayed late to help me finish the deck. Michael's hilarious. You'd like him. I'd be sitting there on the couch, boots unlaced, and realize I was hearing more about some other man's feedback than my own wife's day with me. Then came the makeup. Full face at 6 in the morning. Bronzer, eyeliner, lipstick for busy days. Not date nights. Not weekends with me. Tuesday, Thursday, random Fridays. You know it's just work, right? She said once, catching me watching her in the mirror. I didn't say anything, I answered. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, she muttered, half under her breath. Her phone started living face down on the counter. Late-night memes made her laugh the way she used to laugh at my ruined Sunday pancakes. I'd hear the buzz, see the corner of her mouth lift, and watch her angle the screen away like it was muscle memory. "Who's that?" I'd ask casual. "Work chat. You don't want to see this boring stuff." I told myself not to be that guy, the jealous husband, the one who accuses without proof. So I watched. I logged things in my head instead of her phone. More team dinners. More angel emojis in her texts when she'd tell me not to wait up. The house shifted quietly. Same walls, same couch, same bed. But it started to feel like I was sharing space with a roommate who thought she'd outgrown the man tracking mud on the doormat. I wasn't blind. I just really wanted to be wrong. The week of her birthday, Emily lit up like she'd just been dropped back into her 20s and handed a new life. Fresh nails, hair curled, that red dress hanging on the closet door like it had its own spotlight. One night she stood in the doorway with a glass of wine, lipstick already on though we weren't going anywhere. "So," she said, almost too casual, "we got a private room at Harbor and Oak. Michael helped set it up, he's got connections there. Dress nice. Okay? It's kind of a big deal." She said his name like she was offering me a gift. Like the man I'd drawn a line around was just some detail on a party flyer. "I told you how I felt about him being there," I said. She shrugged, taking a sip. "Ryan, that was you being jealous. He's coming. Don't make it weird." That was it. No debate. My boundary folded up and stuffed in the trash. Later that night, she stretched out on the couch, TV on low, phone in her hand. I was in the bedroom, pretending to scroll through tools on my laptop, when I saw it. The glow of her screen reflected cleanly in the mirror on her dresser. "Michael Ross." I couldn't see every word, but one line was clear enough to burn. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. You deserve the world." My chest went hot, then numb. Every part of me wanted to walk in, rip the phone out of her hand, and force everything into the open. Instead, I waited. When she finally came to bed and her breathing slowed into sleep, I got up, picked up her phone, thumb shaking once and then steady. One screenshot, just one. Sent it to my email. I opened my laptop, made a folder on the desktop, and named it simple. Later. I wasn't snooping anymore. I was documenting reality. Quiet doesn't always mean scared. Sometimes it's a man deciding he's done arguing about the weather when he's already standing in the rain. I showed up late on purpose. I sat in my own living room for a good 20 minutes, keys in my hand, staring at the spot on the wall where the paint never matched after we moved the old bookshelf. It felt symbolic in a stupid way, like us. Same wall, different shade, hoping nobody noticed. I could have texted her. "On my way. Happy birthday." I didn't. Harbor and Oak smelled like money. Dark wood, low lighting, waiters who moved like they were on rails. Guys in tailored jackets talking about margins and markets. Women in dresses that probably cost more than my truck payment. I put on my best shirt, the one Emily always said made my shoulders look good. It still held a faint trace of concrete dust no amount of washing ever really got out. I didn't bother lint rolling my boots. Let the place see me for what I was. "Reservation?" the hostess asked. All polite smiles and perfect posture. "Private room," I said. "Under Emily Walker." Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, maybe, or just that sense people get when they know they're part of a night that isn't going to end pretty. "This way," she said, voice a notch softer. We walked past frosted glass panels, the kind meant to make people feel important and hidden at the same time. I heard laughter behind one door, clinking glasses behind another. My pulse stayed steady. I'd already gone through the worst part at my kitchen table. She stopped at a door with a small brass plate on it. "Here you go," she said. I didn't knock. I opened it and took in the whole scene at once. Emily in that red dress, mid-laugh, head tilted back just enough to show the line of her neck. Michael beside her, sleeves rolled up like he'd just done real work, his hand resting way too close to hers on the white tablecloth. A place card in front of him, VIP guest. The chair right next to her, empty. The room went tight around the edges. She saw me and her laugh snapped off like someone cut the power. "Oh, there he is." she said, voice jumping an octave as she pushed back her chair. Ryan, you're late. I glanced at my empty seat, then at Michael, who cleared his throat and tried to smile like this was all normal. Yeah, I said, stepping fully inside and letting the door swing shut behind me. Looks like I missed my spot being temporarily filled. Her smile froze, too bright, too quick. The crack ran straight through the room. Everyone else just hadn't seen it yet. I didn't sit down right away. I walked to my empty chair, pulled it out slowly, then stayed standing with one hand on the back of it. The room noise dipped on its own. People can feel when something's about to happen. Emily tried to restart the show. Everyone, this is my husband, Ryan, finally decided to join us. Huh. Too bright, too fast. I set my phone on the table in front of her, face down, centered between her plate and her wine glass. Before we get too far into this, I said, voice low, I want to remind you of something. She frowned. Ryan, not now. We have guests. I didn't look at anyone else, just her. I told you, I said, each word clear. If he was here, I'm done. You could hear Fork's pause. Even the hallway music felt quieter through the wall. She gave this little embarrassed laugh, eyes darting around. You're being dramatic. Can we not? 8 years, I said, cutting through her sentence without raising my voice. One boundary. You chose to walk right over it in heels. She reached for my hand across the table, a smile glued on for the audience. Babe, you're making it weird. Sit down. We'll talk later. I let her fingers touch mine for half a second, then pulled back. That tiny movement made 3 people at the table look down like they'd seen something private. That's when the door behind me opened. Sorry to interrupt, a woman's voice said. I turned. Melissa Grant from HR stood there in a gray dress, company badge clipped neat, and next to her a man in a navy blazer holding a thin black folder like it was evidence. Michael's face went flat, color draining, jaw tight. Michael, Emily, Melissa said, we need a few minutes. It concerns both of you. Emily's smile died. Melissa, this is my birthday. I know, Melissa said. This won't take long. She came to the table, set the folder down next to my phone, and slid out printed pages. Messages, expense reports, lines of text in familiar bubbles. I didn't have to lean in to recognize the screenshots I'd forwarded earlier that week. Worth the risk. Late-night hearts. A mirror selfie in that same red dress with a caption about hotel lighting. Someone at the table sucked in a breath when they saw dates and times. Emily grabbed for the papers, hands shaking. This is out of context, she whispered. Then louder. You can't seriously. Michael snapped first. This is insane, he said, looking at me. You set this up. You've been in my business. I kept my eyes on him, steady. I told my wife once, I said. What would happen if you were here? That's the only thing I set up. Melissa cleared her throat. We've reviewed multiple policy violations, misuse of company funds, inappropriate supervisor-employee communication. Michael, we need to speak with you outside. Now. He stood, chair legs scraping loud against the floor. His eyes cut to Emily, then to me. No apology, just calculation. The man in the blazer opened the door. Michael walked out. Melissa followed. The door closed with a soft click that sounded louder than anything else that night. The room sat there, stunned. Coworkers whispering, not sure whose side to take. Forks frozen above plates. Emily finally looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time in months. How could you do this? She hissed, voice low and shaking. I pushed the empty chair in, slow and controlled. No, I said. How could you? The hallway outside that private room felt longer on the way out. Emily caught up to me halfway down, fingers digging into my sleeve. Ryan, wait, she said, voice sharp with panic. You can't just leave me in there with them. They're going to destroy my career. I turned, leaned back against the wall, and really looked at her. Smudged eyeliner, perfect dress, the same perfume that used to mean date night now smelling like somebody else's secret. I asked you for one thing, I said. One man not at your table. You chose him. Her eyes glossed over. It wasn't like that. I needed support. He listened. He made me feel important. I asked, "Seen?" "Yeah." "I read the messages." She flinched like I'd slapped her, even though my hands stayed at my sides. "Please," she whispered, "don't let them ruin me. You're my husband." The word landed dull, heavy, but empty. "Husband would have meant something before you started hiding your phone," I said. "Before you laughed when I told you where my line was." For a second, anger tried to climb up my throat. Years of hard days, cold dinners, unanswered texts. I felt it rise. Then it broke and settled into something calmer, like a beam finally dropping onto the supports it should have had from the start. "I'm not here to save you from what you chose," I told her. "Not with them, not with HR, not with anyone." I pulled my arm free and walked. Outside, the air hit colder than I expected. Harbor and Oak's warm lighting bled out onto wet pavement, all gold against black. Streetlights reflected in the puddles like broken glass scattered across asphalt. The walk to my truck felt strange, light and heavy at the same time. Every step away from that door was a step away from the version of myself that kept swallowing things just to keep the peace. Later that night, the banging started at 1 a.m. I was in bed, staring at the ceiling, when the front door shook. "Ryan, please open the door," Emily's voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It didn't mean anything. I was stupid. Just, please, talk to me." I opened it. She stood there with streaked makeup and raw eyes, clutching her purse like a life raft. "We'll talk in the morning," I said. "The guest room's made up." "Guest room?" she repeated, like the words didn't fit together. I stepped aside. She walked past me, shaking. I shut the door, locked it, and went back to our bed alone. She cried through the wall, soft at first, then angry, then just hoarse sounds torn out of her. I didn't go to see her, didn't argue. I wasn't comfortable. For the first time in a long time, the quiet in that house wasn't her punishment or my retreat. It was mine. Mornings hit differently. Same room, same bed, but the light coming in through the blinds felt colder on the empty space beside me. The impression of her body was still there in the sheets, but it might as well have been a chalk outline. I heard her moving in the guest room, drawers opening, closing, the soft pad of her feet in the hallway, then a pause outside the bedroom door, like she was working up the courage to knock on a house she didn't live in anymore. "Ryan." Her voice was small. "Can we talk?" "Yeah," I said, "but listen first." She opened the door and stepped in like a kid called to the principal's office. Hair tied back, face washed, eyes swollen. No makeup this time, just consequences. "I'm not here to fix what I didn't break," I said. "So if this is going to be you minimizing or spinning, save it." She swallowed. It wasn't supposed to go that far. Michael just made me feel appreciated. Seen. I was lonely and it got out of control. It was stupid, and I ended it. You ended it when HR walked in. I cut in. "Not before." She flinched. "I've been lonely too," I said, voice steady. 10-hour shifts, cold dinners, texts you never answered. I told you once where my line was. You laughed. You didn't just cross it. You dragged a table over it and served cake. Tears started again. "We can go to therapy. We can fix this. Please, I'll quit my job. I'll block him. Just don't throw us away over one mistake." I nodded once. Not in agreement, just acknowledgement. "I called a lawyer this morning," I said. "Emailed him last week, actually. Today I followed up. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm walking away from what you already burned." The look on her face shifted, hope collapsing into something like disbelief. "You're serious?" she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "I am." I pulled a small suitcase from the closet and set it on the bed. I folded a few shirts, jeans, work boots, my watch from the nightstand. In the top drawer, I took a photo from Colorado. Us on a ridge, arms around each other, wind in her hair. I slid it out of the frame, folded it once, and slipped it into my pocket. Not to keep us, just to remind myself I hadn't imagined the good parts. Behind me, I heard her breathing hitch, then the soft thud of her back sliding down the doorframe as she sank to the floor. "Please," she sobbed. "Don't go. We can fix this, Ryan. I'll do anything. Just tell me what to do." I zipped the suitcase, turned, and walked past her. "I told you what to do," I said. "Weeks ago. You chose not to listen." Her hands grabbed at my arm. I gently took them off one by one and placed them back in her lap. "You lost me," I said quietly, "the moment you chose another man at a table where my seat was empty." Then I picked up my bag and stepped over the line I'd drawn myself. The first night in the one-bedroom, I didn't sleep much. Not because I miss her, because it's too quiet in a clean way I'm not used to. The place is nothing special. Creaky floors, beige walls, a thrift store couch that sinks a little too far in the middle. The kind of apartment guys pass through after breakups, not the kind you plan a future in. But it's mine. Every square foot of it. No scented candles I didn't pick. No half-open makeup bags on the sink. No phone lighting up face down with someone else's name. I put my toolbox in the coat closet, my boots by the door. One pan, one pot, two plates. I don't bother decorating. I just breathe. That first week, I realize how much space one person actually takes up when they're not crowding you emotionally. I come home from the site, toss my keys in the same chipped bowl, and there's no performance waiting. No forced small talk. No tension humming under the TV. On Wednesday, I make coffee at 9 at night for no reason. Just because nobody's there to complain about the smell or how it'll keep them up. I stand by the kitchen window, mug in hand, looking out at a parking lot full of other people's lives and feel something close to, not happiness, just relief. The balcony becomes my spot. It's barely big enough for a chair and a milk crate, but I sit out there anyway, listening to distant traffic and some neighbor's TV bleeding through thin walls. It's not much, but it's honest. No pretending. No laughing along with a joke that guts you. The messages start on day 2. Long paragraphs. Her name lit up my screen like it used to when she was sending me stupid memes during lunch breaks. "I can't eat. I can't sleep. I know I messed up. I'll do anything. Please just talk to me." I read them all. Every line. I don't reply. Not because I want to hurt her. Because I'm done negotiating my worth with someone who treated it like a bargaining chip. She tries every angle. Guilt. I'm losing everything because of one mistake. Nostalgia. Remember Colorado? Remember how we said it would always be us? Blame shift. Light and careful. We were both unhappy. We both could have tried harder. I scroll, lock the phone, set it face down on my table. I remember how it looked when hers was always turned away from me. I decide mine will lie face down for a different reason, because I'm not living my life waiting on the next buzz. Her mom shows up on a Sunday with a pie. I see her through the peephole, shoulders hunched, bakery bag in hand. I open the door before she can knock a second time. "Hi, Ryan," she says, voice soft. Can we talk?" I step back just enough so she can see inside. Bare walls. Couch. "No, Emily. We can talk right here," I say. She nods like she expected that. "She's not doing well," her mom says. "She's not eating. She's barely sleeping. She knows she messed up. She's my daughter, and I love her, but I told her straight. She did this to herself. I respect that more than anything Emily's said since it happened. I'm sorry she's hurting," I say, "but I'm not coming back to fix what she broke." Her mom's eyes shine. Is there really nothing left to save? I think about the kitchen table, the laugh, the smirk, the message from Michael, the empty chair at Harbor and Oak, the way she only remembered the word husband when HR walked in. There's nothing left I can respect, I answer. And without that, there's no marriage. Not for me. She looks down at the pie, then back up. You were good to her, she says. I'm sorry she didn't see it when she had it. Me too, I say. We talk a few more minutes about logistics, about when I'll be ready to deal with paperwork, about forwarding mail. I stay polite, steady. I don't invite her in. This space is small, but it's mine. and I'm not letting the past move furniture into it. After she leaves, I make a slice of the pie she brought. It tastes like every holiday I spent with them, except there's no background noise of Emily talking over everyone. The call from HR comes a week later. Mr. Walker? This is Melissa Grant from corporate. Her voice is the same as it was at Harbor and Oak. Calm, professional, edged with that slight weight of someone who's seen too many messes. I wanted to let you know, since you were impacted by the situation. She says, Michael Ross has tendered his resignation, effective immediately. I let that sit for a second. The man who made her feel seen is now just a line on a past org chart. And Emily? Ask. She's been moved to another team, Melissa says, under review for her role in the misuse of funds. Final decisions aren't made yet. There's a part of me, small, bitter, that wants to push, to ask if they're going to fire her too, to dump every receipt, every late-night photo, every detail just to make sure she falls as hard as he does. I won't be filing anything else, I say. I'm not looking to ruin her life. I just needed to stop her from wrecking mine. I understand, Melissa says, and I think she actually does. When I hang up, I sit on the edge of my bed and look around. One dresser, one lamp. My suitcase is half unpacked. It still feels temporary, but it's sturdy in its own way, like scaffolding before the real walls go up. More messages roll in over the next few days. Shorter now, less frantic. The initial panic burns off and what's left is something heavier. My mom came by. I know you talked to her. She said you were calm. That hurts more than if you'd yelled. Then, HR called. Michael's gone. I've been moved. I might lose my job too. I know you could probably make it worse for me if you wanted. Thank you for not doing that. I read that one twice. This is what people don't get about men like me. We're not saints. We have violent thoughts, fantasy confrontations, imagined revenge. But in real life, we still have to live with our own reflection. I'm not interested in destroying her. I'm interested in never being that small in my own house again. One night, after a long week, I'm on the balcony again, sweat still on my neck from the shift. The phone buzzes. I almost ignore it, but habit makes me check. It's from her. This will be my last message. I did what I did. I own it. I broke something I can't put back. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. If you don't, I understand. You were a good husband. I just wasn't a good wife. No begging. No bargaining. Just a plain admission and a door left cracked open. I stare at the screen for a long time, thumb hovering over the keyboard. It would be easy to type something. Even one word. Thanks. Okay. Someday. Instead, I lock the phone and set it down on the arm of the chair. The night air is cool. Somewhere below, a car alarm chirps and then goes silent. The world doesn't care that my marriage ended. Roofs still get poured. Roads still get laid. People still cheat. People still leave. I take a slow breath and feel the truth of it in my chest. Walking away hurts. It punches holes through your plans and leaves you carrying boxes you never thought you'd pack. But staying where you're mocked, lied to, and half-chosen, that eats you alive. Men are told to be patient, to be understanding, to work through it. There's a place for that when both people are respecting the same line. But when you draw a boundary and get laughed at, when you say, this is where I end, and they drag someone else across it anyway, that's not a marriage. That's you volunteering to be the fool. Out here on this cheap balcony with my cheap chair and my quiet phone. I'm nobody's fool. I finish my coffee, pick up my phone, and delete the thread. Not to erase her from my life, just to stop reopening a wound that's finally started to scab. I don't block her. I don't send a final speech. I don't announce my closure. I just live it. In the end, the lesson is simple enough for any man to understand, even if it takes too long to learn. Love without respect rots from the inside. A boundary mocked is a boundary that has to cost something. And sometimes the strongest move a man can make isn't fighting to stay. It's walking away with his dignity and his silence intact.